The last call. In the state of Illinois, there are towns that seem frozen in time, places where mornings begin the same way every day, where people recognize each other's cars before they recognize faces, and where crime feels like something that happens somewhere else, somewhere louder, somewhere bigger. For years, the town of Brookfield Falls was one of those places. The streets were clean, the houses modest but well kept. The police department rarely dealt with anything more serious than noise complaints or minor disputes, the kind of town where the most urgent calls usually involved weather alerts, not violence. Until one night changed everything. On a cool evening in October 2021, at exactly 11:47 p.m., the silence was broken by a phone call. The dispatcher on duty that night later described it as ordinary at first. A call came in, a woman's voice, nervous but controlled. She wasn't screaming, she wasn't crying. She said only one thing: "Please, I need help. Someone is watching me." And then the line went dead. The call lasted less than 20 seconds. That short moment would become the center of one of the most disturbing investigations the town had ever faced. Police traced the call to a single-family home on the edge of Brookfield Falls. The house belonged to Laura Mitchell, a 34-year-old elementary school administrator who lived alone. Laura was known as responsible, routine-driven, and private. She paid her bills on time. She showed up to work early. She had no criminal record and no history of conflict. At first glance, Laura Mitchell was not someone who should have been afraid. Then investigators analyzed her phone records. That was when everything changed. For nearly 3 months before her death, Laura had been receiving calls almost every night from the same number. The calls usually came late, between 10:30 p.m. and midnight. Some stayed connected longer, but there was rarely any conversation. In many of the calls, no one spoke at all, just silence. Laura never saved the number, she never blocked it, she never reported it, but the calls were there, night after night. Investigators wondered why. Friends later explained that Laura had mentioned a weird number a few times. She said it was probably a wrong number or a glitch. She didn't want to overreact. She didn't want to make a big deal out of nothing. That decision would prove fatal. Tracing the number was difficult. It was a prepaid phone, no name attached, no address, purchased with cash. But investigators didn't stop there. They began analyzing cell tower pings, traffic cameras, license plate readers, anything that could reveal patterns. Slowly, a disturbing image formed. On nights when Laura received the calls, a gray sedan appeared repeatedly in the area near her house, always late at night, always parked 2 blocks away, always gone by morning. The vehicle never violated any laws. It never approached the house. It simply sat there, waiting. The vehicle was registered to Ethan Brooks. Ethan Brooks was 41 years old, married, 2 children, employed by a regional telecommunications company. No criminal history, no complaints, no restraining orders. When police first contacted him, Ethan seemed confused but cooperative. He agreed to come in for questioning voluntarily. In the interrogation room, detectives immediately noticed something about him. He was calm, not nervous, not defensive, not angry, just calm. He denied knowing Laura Mitchell. He denied calling her. He denied being anywhere near her house. But the evidence contradicted him. Cell tower data placed his phone in the same area as Laura's house during the times of the calls. Traffic cameras showed his car entering the neighborhood repeatedly. Phone records linked his prepaid device to the silent calls. When confronted with this information, Ethan's story began to change. He admitted that he knew Laura, They had met once, years earlier, a brief interaction at a public event. A conversation so short, Laura likely never remembered it. But Ethan did. To him, that moment mattered. He described Laura as kind, as different. He said he felt a connection, not a relationship, but a sense of closeness. That closeness, according to psychologists, existed only in his mind. Ethan explained that he began calling her just to hear her voice. Sometimes he didn't speak because he didn't want to scare her. He believed she knew it was him. He believed she felt comforted. When asked why he parked near her house, he said he wanted to feel near her. He insisted he never intended harm. He never entered the house. He never touched her. "I just wanted her to know she wasn't alone," he said. Investigators struggled with the implications. Ethan had not physically harmed Laura, but his actions clearly instilled fear powerful enough to kill. Psychologists brought in to evaluate the case explained something critical. Human beings do not need direct violence to experience trauma. The constant sense of being watched, the unknown presence, the inability to escape the feeling of surveillance. These things can break a person's sense of safety. Laura's final call was not about an intruder. It was about terror. The trial that followed drew attention far beyond Brookfield Falls. Media outlets debated whether someone could be held criminally responsible for a death they did not physically cause. Prosecutors argued that Ethan's behavior constituted psychological assault, a pattern of stalking and intimidation that directly led to Laura's death. The defense argued there was no intent, no physical act, no direct threat. The jury listened to weeks of testimony. They heard Laura's friends describe how she had become more anxious over time, how she slept with lights on, how she checked her locks repeatedly. They heard experts explain how fear affects the body, how prolonged stress can trigger fatal responses. They heard Ethan's own words, calm, detached, certain that he had done nothing wrong. In the end, the verdict was clear. Ethan Brooks was found guilty of stalking resulting in death. He was sentenced to decades in prison. The town of Brookfield Falls was changed forever. People began locking their doors earlier, watching parked cars longer, paying attention to silent phone calls, because they learned something terrifying. Danger does not always break in. It does not always shout. It does not always touch. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it watches. And sometimes it calls and says nothing at all.